Hello everyone, so here I'm back again with another Division 2 video. This time I'll be showing you the Climax Mission for Year 8 Season 2 on Master difficulty. For the build that I'll be using an 80% protection from elite build. We can do this build by using 3 improvised pieces along with the survivalist specialization and 6 protection from elites mod. The configuration for my cores is going to be 3 red cores along with 4 blue cores. Thanks in fact because I'm using the Memento backpack. That's the core configuration right there. And for my main gun, I'm going to be relying on the Backfire. The gun has damage to targets out of cover, already have this thing on expertise 30, and I'm going to be relying heavily on how the talent for this weapon has been implemented to try to reach the max DPS output for a build of this kind. Alongside this weapon, I'll be using a quick step so that it doesn't take me that long to go to other rooms. And for the other pieces that are not the improvised ones, the one that you can craft on the crafting table, as I already said, I'm using Memento for the extra L weapon damage, armor regen, and bonus armor, and one Sheska piece for the critical hit chance, and with the talent Intimidate, which is the most useful one for these kind of builds. And I'm also using this random prototype piece, a Hollow Man, but ideally I do suggest that this build has at least one prototype and make sure that the augment for that prototype is going to be Quantum. I'm also using Crusader Shield, Reviver Hype, and my seasonal modifier is already maxed out and with the usual passive modifiers, the ones that I already explained on all my videos. So anyways, the general strategy for all of the rooms in this mission is going to be the same. You're gonna get inside a room. The room is going to be filled to the brim with yellow enemies that have a ton of armor, and all the enemies can spawn from pretty much all of the spawn points that are available in that room. Essentially, you're gonna be surrounded by enemies all the damn time. Because of that, most of the community prefers to play these missions with stuff like an 80% protection from elites build. Because all the enemies are yellows, we can reduce the damage output from those enemies. And because some missions they're already pretty long in terms of duration, and this mission in particular has a few DPS check sections, I'll be relying on the Backfire in order to maximize my DPS output. Now, you may be asking, why am I using Backfire? That's a wonderful question. Now, Backfire, as we already remember, gives you lots of critical hit damage, the more stacks you can accumulate. And although you'll normally get the bleed every time you increase your amount of stacks, once you reach the max amount of stacks, you won't be able to get the bleed effect from the Backfire. Essentially, we can use this effect to our advantage so that we can get the most amount of critical hit damage possible, which is pretty useful, especially for protection from elites build, which is also already pretty low on that stat. And we can also benefit from other stuff like the high critical hit chance that this gun already has. And yeah, essentially we can use this to just keep the highest DPS output possible. I'm even considering using this thing for the second incursion. I already have done the first boss using this gun, and I have obtained a very decent time to kill that boss. Wouldn't be able to get something like that with any other weapon. So yeah, essentially for this mission, going back to the master difficulty mission that I'm currently showing, we are going to be relying on that Backfire strat that I already explained to you guys, as well as the Contagion passive modifier, which gives you 40% increased damage to the enemy that you apply the Contagion debuff. There can only be one enemy at a time with the debuff applied, and if there's a nearby enemy once the Contagion infected enemy is murdered, that enemy is going to get the debuff instead. Because of that, we have to be careful when controlling the enemy spawn points on all of these rooms. especially for rooms like this one where we are going to be getting a named enemy after we kill some of the enemy waves. So yeah, as long as we're able to manage the damage multiplier and spread the modifier on the best time possible, we can essentially get a pretty decent DPS output against the enemies while still being able to withstand all of their shots. And again, I really have to stress, if you have a prototype piece, make sure that at least one of those has quantum. You pretty much going to become invincible, even if it is just a single piece with quantum. And it even helps if the quantum augment is on its lowest level, like level 1. It doesn't even matter, just having quantum already is going to make a massive change to your survivability for the better. I forgot to include to use one of those pieces on this run, so you can definitely see that things can get pretty tricky at times, especially when I get surrounded by the enemies from all sides. So yeah, essentially that's going to be the general strategy for these climax missions for each season. Like, the thing don't really change. Like, the design is essentially the same for all missions, which, like, I normally wouldn't have minded it for the first climax missions, but like at this point already, I don't know. I mean, these missions are, at least for me, a bit unengaging. Only really do them for the exotic that is tied to the climax mission, to be able to like test it out, see if it's a decent weapon or if it is a weapon that is going to go straight to the stash. Unfortunately, I think the underboss falls on the latter category. So yeah, either way, I'm not a big fan of these master difficulty missions. And yet at the same time, I also have to stress that if the best time to do these missions are by the time that the mission is unlocked at the end of a certain season, because then if you do the replay, like, yes, you don't have to do the Manhunt Scouts to like unlock the mission will be unlocked from the get-go. But then at the same time, you're gonna be seeing some differences on these missions. Like, enemies won't be spawning with enemy modifiers, which, like, I mean, for this season in particular, I actually like to see that. Like, the enemy modifiers in this season were absolutely horrible. But at the same time, the devs are usually a bit careless. I'm gonna use that word. And we can also see some unintended interactions in how the some of the seasonal builds that player used back then. You won't be able to replicate those builds. In this case, one thing that I can already imagine is going to happen is that players won't be able to get any high quality ammo whatsoever. So, I mean, all the DPS output that you're seeing right now, this plus 1 million damage that you'll be seeing, you're gonna be seeing half of that, almost certainly. And even then, like, most of my output is coming mostly from the contagion modifier and not as much on the high quality ammo. And even then, I don't want to say the high quality ammo is usually like, yeah, it's extremely annoying to farm, but those buffs are really useful nonetheless. So yeah, I can already imagine what is going to happen. Like, I don't know. I really don't know what's insistent on the devs is to keep making these missions. Like, the narrative is starting to become a bit filler. The missions are just so forgettable. A little bit too copy pasted for my taste too. And like, ever since what was his name? Schaefer. Ever since Schaefer wake up, yeah, the story has just been going in circles. Like, we're essentially gonna get the same narrative until Division 3 launches. I'm pretty much sure of that. I don't have proof, but I don't know. I get the impression that's going to be the case at the end of the day. So yeah, honestly, I'm starting to run out of things to just explain from this mission. Like, you already saw, the strategy is going to be the same for all rooms. Just be on the lookout with the enemies. Try to not get shot by too many enemies at the same time, and try to get close to the enemies to abuse all of our damage multipliers. Like stuff like Intimidate, the bonus armor that we can get from Memento, the contagion past the modifier from this season in case you have it unlocked, and to also not get affected by the optimal range limitations from the Backfire weapon. And yeah, I think after this encounter that I'm gonna be doing with the spy stashes, I'm honestly just going to mute myself for some of this section. After this, I might explain some of the general strategy for each of the rooms. Like in this room, for example, I suggest that you focus on the stash and make sure that there's no enemy with the modifier that heals the health of all the nearby enemies. If there's even just one enemy nearby, the stashes are going to become extremely tanky, which I wouldn't be surprised if it is an unintended interaction. But then, at the same time, these missions are so disposable that I don't think the devs even bother to fix this in the future. So, yeah, just focus on the stash, and after that, just focus on killing all the enemies that are gonna be trying to kill you. And also be careful with the healer enemies. We don't want to kill even more enemies on this mission. It's already quite a bit boring mission. I mean, it's not the best thing to say for a YouTube video, you know? Like, technically, I should be trying to get the most views, but like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just doing this just because wanted to give you guys some advice. Definitely some for the last two sections, which are some very heavy DPS checks, especially the penultimate section of this mission. So yeah, starting to get bored now, so I'm gonna be muting myself, and as soon as we reach the next room, I'll be explaining you the rest of the mission. So yeah, I'll be right back. Now, for the last section of this mission, we essentially have two things to consider. First, there's gonna be some beginning enemy waves on this room. We first have to dispose of those enemy waves before we can interact with the three objectives that are in this room. So, yep. After you kill the last enemy from that enemy wave, as soon as we place the first thermite charge, we are gonna get the rest of the enemy waves from this room. I highly advise that you kill all of the enemy waves that we are gonna be fighting. There's gonna be plenty of those. And after the enemy stops spawning, we can place the other two thermite charges. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. And finally, after such a long time, we're finally able to kill all of the enemy waves from this room. So from here, we can place the remaining 2 thermite charges. There's one. We'll run over here, and we'll place these other thermite charges. After the 2 charges explode, we can then continue to the next section of the mission. Now I highly suggest that you fill out your SMG ammo first, because we are gonna be getting to the first hard DPS check of this mission. I call it a hard DPS check because we need to kill all the enemy waves within a time limit. So essentially, we're gonna do the same thing as always. Just get close to the enemies, spread the contagion at enemy modifier, and make sure that your stack stay on the highest level as possible. That way we can keep our DPS output at the highest level, which is extremely important for a DPS check like this section, right here. If you're able to kill all the enemy waves within the time limit, we should be able to get the final objective for this mission, which is to find Zodiac and be able to kill him. Before you go to the final room, make sure that you fill out your SMG ammo. And from here, we can continue along towards the final room of the mission. We'll open this door. And as soon as we open this other one, we'll reach the final room. Now for here, I like to go downstairs, jump behind the bar counter thing, and fight all of the enemy waves, or at least the ones that are nearby me, from over here. Once I killed enough enemies from this side so that the only enemies that stay, or the enemies that are left, that is, are on the stage, I'll reposition towards that position and I'll stay over there until the boss spawns. The boss is going to spawn from the wall on the stage. Just be careful with the flanks and you should be fine. And now, while I'm killing the enemy waves, quick explanation for this boss fight. At least from some of my experiments, it seems like once the boss spawns, the NPC waves will keep spawning indefinitely, or at least that's what it seems like. In order to make the NPC waves stop, or at least get the game to not keep throwing you infinite waves, we need to prioritize killing the boss, Zodiac. As I already said, the boss is going to spawn from the stage side of this room. You'll be able to notice when the boss is about to spawn because we are going to get one single NPC left that we have to take care of them. If there's only one NPC left, make sure that you go to the stage and kill the enemy from over there. And if your timing is right, you should be able to get Zodiac to show up. Now, because I want to kill the boss quickly, I'll be relying heavily on the Contagion modifier along with the Active modifier. That's what increases your damage to targets out of cover and helps you tank even more damage. Once you kill the boss, we can now start taking care of the incoming NPC waves. Now, don't get the impression that the enemies will stop spawning altogether. Like, we still have to kill many NPC waves on this room, unfortunately. So that's something to keep in mind. Luckily, those are gonna be the last part of this mission. Also, we have to be mindful of the little green stations that are found throughout this room. Whenever one of those green circles shows up on the room, we have to run towards one of them because we are gonna be getting a constant amount of debuffs like the confuse effect and stuff like that. Those are the debuffs that I was talking about. And most importantly, we are gonna be losing a small amount of health for each second that we are not within the area of effect of these green boxes. So yeah, something to keep in mind so that you don't get immediately murdered by the toxicity effect inside this room. Also, sometimes the game will tell you to go towards a console that's on the stage area of the room. I believe if you don't interact with the console thing, none of the green boxes will show up for quite some time until you interact with the laptop or command center or whatever it is. So yeah, just try to make sure that you don't go too far away from where the scenario section of the mission is and interact from time to time with this. I now see it now, it's kind of like a DJ dashboard thing. So yeah. And as I said, this part essentially boils down to just killing a bunch of enemies. Also be careful on not running out of ammo. There's an ammo box over here. And yeah, you can already see the moment you get inside the area of effect of the green box, we are going to recover pretty much all of our lost health. So yeah, just try to be mindful of that game mechanic so that you don't die unexpectedly on this room. Yeah, there's many NPC waves. Like at that point, I was already bored of this mission. I really don't like to replay these missions. I really wish that Massive made a better use of the resources instead of making these missions. You can definitely hear from my voice that I really don't like these missions at all. So yeah, there should be just two more enemies left. If I'm checking this correctly, I'm interacting with this dashboard just to continue along with the mechanic. And I'll try to kill the final shield guy. I was desperately trying to kill them because my health was already pretty low by that point. Also because of that mechanic, you cannot rely as heavily on Hellgate. If you get Hellgated and you have a low amount of HP like I currently am, you're pretty much gonna get murdered. And yeah, after you kill the last enemy from the last enemy wave, the game will simply tell you to leave the nightclub. And with that, we have finally completed the Climax mission for this season. I honestly don't remember how the mission is even called. That's how little I remember about this mission, essentially. So yeah, Massive, please, I mean, make a better use of your resources. I don't think these missions are that good for the health of the game in the long run. So anyways, if you like the video, you can like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye bye and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.